Where were we?
Tuesday. I think we got past Monday. We're on Tuesday
we got past Monday. All right. Well, Tuesday, NXT. Boy, howdy. What they've done to this program. They opened it up with LA Knight in the ring, and this was NXT for January 18th. And the guy can talk, and he's doing a promo, and he looks good, and we talked about he works good. He's a classic old-school heel-bumping worker, and he starts talking about Grayson Waller. And I'm sorry, but this fucking guy, besides having the absolute worst, most unappealing, most unrealistic name in history, he looks like he's 12 years old. He's got a well-groomed baby little face, and they did a 10-minute promo about the restraining order that old Grayson Waller got, where basically Waller would either have to wrestle LA Knight, who's now a babyface, or he'd have to wrestle Dexter Lumis. And Waller ends up wrestling Dexter Lumis. And for whatever reason, Waller also wrestles in boxing shorts. You know, the silk boxing shorts like the boxers wear?
Right. That's why they're called boxer shorts originally. Yeah.
Well, these are even more opulent than ones you'd wear underneath your various outer clothing. But yeah. So anyway, somebody that even the announcers didn't know who the fuck it was interfered, and Grayson Waller won. So now they're burying Dexter Lumis, the one of the last of the old-time NXT fellas. The Dusty Rhodes Tag Classic is being competed again, Brian. I'm sure you're happy to hear about that.
Whoopee.
In the no, she's not in it. Whoopi Goldberg, she was booked this year. But one of the matches was the Creed brothers with Malcolm Bivens against Briggs and Stratton, the Country Boy team. Briggs and Stratton aren't that bad. The shooters, the Creed brothers, are green as grass, and they tag each other on the ass and all kinds of shit. And, of course, the Green brothers won that one. And then, in a foreshadowing of things to come, Walter and Marcel and Fabian, his cohorts, did a promo in the back, all in German, and they had English subtitles. And honestly, this wasn't anything outstanding because I hate to say that, especially with what's going to come up, but it wasn't like watching the old Adolf Hitler speeches where this guy's laying some law down. He's quietly talking to these two, and they're quietly answering him, and you can read what they're saying, but it wasn't anything to write home about, this segment. Then Dante Chin. Have you ever heard of him?
I've never heard. His name is Dante Chin?
Dante Chin, C-H-E-N, Dante Chin.
No, I don't know him.
Well, he's back.
Back? From where?
He's back. He's back from an injury.
I've never heard of him. He was on their show already?
He's back. And he's another 12-year-old looking kid that they've got him dressed in a kabuki outfit because he's of Asian descent. So he comes in the hood and the thing, and he wrestled a guy, and I didn't see the graphic, and I didn't want to back up, but his name was Boo Boo Raj. So Dante Chin wrestled Boo Boo Raj. In the back, there was Rex Bronsteiner, and the new NXT champion. He's doing promos and face-offs now with old Pablo Escobar. So he's doomed coming up. They did a live in-ring interview with Tony D'Angelo in the ring with a coffin, because apparently Pete Dunne is dead and in the coffin. And this Tony D'Angelo gimmick has Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon written all over it. It's just so hokey. And suddenly Carmelo Hayes and his friend Trick interrupted, and they're talking mean to each other. And I wrote, who are the heels? You can't fucking tell. And then here comes Cameron Grimes. And now he's neatly groomed now, by the way. They've shaved him into a nice little beard, and he's wearing a suit, and his hair is combed. So all the distinction he had is off of him now. And I just kept zipping through this because they just kept talking to each other, and who gives a shit, right? It just endless talk. And then now here's an example. We talked earlier about, is it that Vince is out of touch with what young people like, or is Vince he's lost command of his troops? Here's an example of somebody being out of touch with something that somebody likes these days. They're trying to make Briggs and Stratton party guys that like to go to the bar. I think this is a whitewashed, sanitized PG version of JBL and Ron Simmons, the APA, right? Briggs and Stratton are in the locker room, and two of the girls, I don't know who the fuck they were, they come in and they want to go to a bar and party and drink beer with Briggs and Stratton. See, that's what all the young people do, Brian, is they go to bars and party, right? So Bruce is probably said back there, yeah, tell him you want to go to the bar and drink beer and party.
Yeah, Bruce wants to go to the bar.
Yeah, and he ought to be. It looks like he went to the bar before this program. They did awkward romance talk where one of the guys was trying to, he made a mistake where he didn't want to make the girl think that he was really interested in her. So he said, I don't like you. But no, I like you, but I don't like you. And it's like fucking Andy Griffith's show, awkward romance talk. And meanwhile, while this is going on, Brian, between these two girls, they're trying to hit on these two guys. And if it was the APA or Bradshaw and Ron Simmons or any other man in the history of wrestling, they just said, instead of going to the bar, how about we just take you back in the shower and binge you over right there?
It definitely sounds like what JBL would recommend, yeah.
Yeah, well, that would have got these poor fucking guys over with some men out there, but instead they look like two pussies that are doing fucking high school banter with these women. And the whole time that this is going on, Wendy Chu, the new girl they've got now, they're in the locker room, right? And Wendy Chu is wearing pajamas with fuzzy footies and sipping from a sippy cup, laying up on top of the lockers, looking down at all this interaction that's going on. And every once in a while, they'll pan the camera up and she'll take a sip from her cup and say, I don't know what she was. So now they've apparently had, later on in the program, Saray, who was another Japanese girl that they had working in NXT in somewhat regular Japanese girl outfits. Now she's gone back to Japan, found her grandmother's necklace that she gave her, and that's given her inspiration. And now she's returned as a Japanese schoolgirl, wearing a Japanese schoolgirl outfit with this cute little necklace. And that's the Japanese girl. The Chinese girl wrestles in a furry one-piece pink set of jammies. What the fuck is going on here?
The whole show's amateur hour. I don't understand what any of this is. Did someone say, Jim keeps talking about the schoolgirls on AEW, we need schoolgirls? I mean, how did this happen?
It apparently, and again, none of the Asian talent that they treat all of these people just because they don't speak English or can't speak English well, they make them talk like they're 6. And if that's not racist, I'm not sure what. I don't want 98-pound Japanese schoolgirls wearing lace doilies. Give me some fucking Gail Kim. It's not the fucking racial background, it's the presentation. Anyway, then they had some more unknown girls being interviewed in the back, and they had such thick accents. They sounded like Andre Ole Ole O, and you couldn't understand what they were saying when they were arguing with the other two girls. And then they had a match with Kaylee Ray versus Ivy Nile. And I almost needed an IV if I'd had to fucking watch it. I skipped to the end and 6 more girls ran in and had the fakest looking fight ever. It was, oh, God damn it. Toxic Attraction is Jane Wayne Gacy and what's the other girl's name? And And the girl that they've changed her from a blonde to a brunette so that she could have a meaner look, and they're trying to build, oh my God, it looked like 6 drunk chicks fighting in a bounce house. You know those things they inflate for the kids' birthday parties?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, get 6 girls liquored up, throw them in one of those and tell them to play wrestle. That's what this looked like. But they left that and went backstage because remember old, what the guy really named Gacy, the fat pudgy guy named Gacy with the shooter henchman that they've just buried by being next to this fucking clown. They have attacked, remember Odyssey Jones? So, boy, he's a future superstar. Well, apparently he's hurt because he was on crutches. He was on a crutch, selling his leg. But when they go backstage, here's these 2 heels standing over him. And they've already attacked him, and he's already screaming, oh, my leg! And everybody's standing around going, oh! And then the heels walk off. So apparently he's really hurt, and they can't even have him take a bump and work on his leg in a working way. They just had to start the segment with him already laying down there going, oh, my leg! This is Saturday Night Live. Then they had the Saray and her necklace thing. It sounds like she's 10 years old. Then they had another Dusty Classic match. And I'm pissed off, Brian, because they're infringing on my gimmick here. The Dusty Classic was the Legado Fantasia guys that run around with old Pablo Escobar against Malik Blade and Idris Enough. I can't even give these people funny nicknames anymore. They're beating me to it. Idris in Idris Enofe. That is this guy's fucking name.
Oh, I thought
Idris Enough.
I thought it was going to be ID, not ED. That's weird. Okay.
And Malik Blade. Anyway, they had a match. Then the next match was Dakota Kai versus Yulisa Leon.
Can I stop you?
I wish you would.
I was a big fan of Dakota Kai whenever we watched NXT. I can't believe she's actually still there. I mean, they've had such a big changeover. She's not on the main roster. She hasn't been released. She's good. I just don't know what she would still be doing in NXT at this point.
Well, you ought to see her now. And what a hairdo. And then after that, more girls were interviewed. It was Raquel Gonzalez and a little girl that she called Chichita. Except they're not happy with each other. And then finally, we got not only to the main event, which was the only thing on this program that any sane, rational person would have actually intentionally wanted to watch. Also, the only thing coming out of the program that everybody was talking about this past week, Walter against Roderick Strong. And I will start with, because the name issue was not revealed until the end of this thing. So let's tell the people how they got there. It's Roderick Strong, and he's in the diamond mine with manager Malcolm Bivens, who they allow to say something every once in a while, and then otherwise his guys just get the shit kicked out of them usually, except when the Green Brothers won the Dusty Classic. But poor old Roddy is matched up with Walter, and it's this was perfect because even though Roddy's a heel, he's got the manager, it accentuated Walter's size. Because Walter's a big guy anyway, but he looked even bigger against Roddy, because Roddy, of course, is vertically challenged. But also, these are 2 pros. They love to chop. They love to hit hard. Roddy doesn't mind, laying shit in. And also, both guys can work. Roddy's got tons of experience. He can work with anybody. Walter works like a territory heel. It woke the crowd up in the building, it seemed like. And this was it was the first thing on the show that resembled a wrestling match. They did different stuff, and they struggled to do it. It seemed like it was a contest. Everything made sense. Walter, he sold enough in this that at first it was appropriate, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe a little much because Walter is made to a certain audience, but he's not made to the entire audience, and they need to be protective of him. We'll get to that in a minute. And at one point, Roddy gave Walter a superplex off the top rope and only got a 2 count, and he fought to get it, but that was a little much for Walter to be taking bumps this size, this big, in his formal introduction to the United States, I thought. However, Roddy's on him. He poured it on, but he couldn't put him away, and the people started chanting, "Fight forever." Brian, how much sense does that make? If you're watching a wrestling match, you should want your favorite, your hero, your guy that you've picked to win, and you should want him to be able to do it as quickly as possible. Do they ever chant "fight forever" at a boxing match? Do they ever chant "fight forever" at a UFC fight, even though it may be a great fight?
I've never heard it.
No, because it don't make any fucking sense. You want your guy to fucking win. Unfortunately, now people have come to realize, okay, this is all a performance, so this is good. It's a lot better than the other shit we've been looking at. Just do that all night. It's another thing we've lost. But anyway, besides the fact you wouldn't want to fight forever, Walter blocked a pile driver and hit his power bomb. Boom, 1, 2, 3. And that's the right result. Obviously, it's the best thing on this program. It wasn't Walter versus Ilya, but it was a good win for Walter, but he needs to be a little bit more dominant over everybody he faces, I think, on the way to the main roster. And right there, we were almost off, and I figure, okay, that's, at least they're heading the right direction. And then Walter takes the microphone, and he says, "The winner of this match is Gunther." And you hear crickets and confusion. You can almost hear a puppy dog in the background going, because nobody understood what the fuck. But apparently, we've found out in the intervening time since he uttered those words, some things. Apparently, they were going to change his name too. Possibly, they still might. I at first thought, oh my God, they have changed his name to reflect in honor of, in homage to, one of the great characters in the history of American television, Gunther Tootie. From Car 54, Where Are You?
Joey Ross.
Joey Ross. I'm thinking his name is now going to be Gunther Tootie. There's a holdup in the Bronx. Brooklyn's broken out in fights. There's a traffic jam in Harlem that's backed up to Jackson Heights. There's a scout troop short a child. Cruise ships do it idle wild. Car 54, where are you?
If only you could have a partner named Muldoon, it would be perfect.
Oh, and the incomparable Fred Gwynn.
Yeah.
And actually, Walter looks more like Fred Gwynn than he does Joey Ross. Nevertheless, that wasn't it.
I guess so.
They were not naming him after Gunther Tootie because apparently our sharp-eyed viewers on the internet looked this up. They had they had applied for a trademark. The WWE applied for a trademark just recently on the name Gunther Stark. Okay, that sounds pretty German to me. Well, there's a reason for that. It is German. Not only it is German, it is a German. Gunther Stark, the name that the WWE has just applied to trademark until after this, and then when this news came out, they have dropped the trademark application. Gunther Stark was a Nazi U-boat captain in World War II. We just talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the program here, and I don't know. We should. Oh heck, if Jace in editing wants to put it in, let him put it in. If not, we'll refer to it. But we said on the program here a couple of weeks ago when we heard about Walter coming to the United States and potentially going to the main roster, I said if anybody wanted to sell him to Vince, just say, look at this guy. Imagine he's a German or an Austrian or a Prussian or a Russian. He's an Ivan Drago. Imagine him in a military uniform, or that face, the condescending, manner that he has. He's a foreign menace. That's the way you get. Vince can understand that and can have something to work with there. And then you show Vince the way he lays his shit in and carries himself in the ring, and he's a heartless, cruel, fucking something, right? So apparently, I know Vince McMahon, and I know Bruce Pritchard knows Vince McMahon, but apparently they didn't sell the concept of making him a German war commandant. They fucking actually did it. They were going to make him a real Nazi, named after a real existing fucking Nazi. But then somebody looked up Gunther Stark and let that out, and they've dropped the trademark application, as I said, and I guess maybe if they're still going to go with it, because they had changed his name on the roster page, people started tweeting that out. So I don't know whether it's still going to fly or not. But again, you don't have to change everything. It's the concept of the guy, the way he looks and the way he's presented. He could be Walter, because they already know that. I'm not saying if you wanted to pick a name from scratch for somebody that had never been seen to introduce them, maybe you wouldn't go with Walter. But once it's been done for the past few years, why change that? Just present him the way you want to present. And they did the same thing with poor old Mark Magnus. Mark Capani, he was Italian, but he had such dark skin, he looked Arabic. And he's the one that became Muhammad Hassan. He was a great kid in OVW, had tons of potential, could work, great body, could talk. And they bring him up there instead of making him a aggrieved person who was oppressed here in this country and got a grudge because of the anti-Muslim sentiment. They just made him a fucking terrorist. And he tried to behead The Undertaker. And in the first case of this ever in the history of wrestling, the network fired him, canceled his career, said, no, we're not going to have this on TV ever again. So now they want to make Walter, instead of making him the concept of an evil Prussian or German or Russian military officer, they want to make him name him after an actual existing Nazi. Is it just me, or has everybody gone completely out of their fucking rabbit-ass mind?
This one is specifically completely nuts. I don't know how it gets this far. You would think if someone came up with the name Gunther, and again, they didn't think of Car 54. By the way, one of the weirdest records I have is the Joey Ross record. It has the song, ooh, ooh, the song. You know his catchphrase?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. He was also in It's About Time, It's About Space, It's About Two Men in the Strangest Place, It's About Two Astronauts. Remember It's About Time? Where the astronauts went back in time and found the cave people and then brought them to the future?
I didn't see that one, no.
Well, go ahead with your talk of Walter.
But to name him after an actual Nazi, that takes effort. First of all, he's been on TV. He's known as Walter or Walter, however you want to pronounce it. He's been on WWE TV. He's been on NXT. He's been the star of NXT UK. Now, all of a sudden, he just all of a sudden has a different name. What a coincidence. They just happened to pick the name of a fucking German U-boat captain? What the fuck happened here? And why do you change this guy's name?
Well, and apparently the guy's easy to search because they came up with pictures of him and everything.
And I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw a little bit of it, and Walter did it. He did the promo. He's doing as good as he can. Why did he consent to this? That's the question I always have. Especially right now where you have more guys putting their foot down about stupid shit than ever before. This guy was in Europe. He was happy. Why did he consent to coming over here, coming up with a whole new name that he won't be able to own? Why would he agree to any of this?
But hold on now. We don't know what the timeline was because, again, they just proved with old Allison Danger that they will move someone across the country or the world. They will promise them whatever. They'll get them ensconced wherever they're supposed to be, and then they'll fucking pull the rug out from under them. Maybe he'd already sold his place over in Vienna and fucking moved his shit, an international move, signed leases, and then they say, oh, by the way, we're going to fucking name you Tits McGee. Well, do I want to pack everything up and turn around and make that? Would you want to move back to the old Last Manor right after you've got into the brand new Last Manor?
I wouldn't want to, but I wouldn't mind it. That was a great place.
Well, but you know what I'm saying. For heaven's sake. They probably got him, and he's like, yo, what the fuck? You couldn't bring this up before? No, because then you knew what I'd say. I'm telling you, you know, these things, sometimes they come as surprises, but I don't think that any of the wrestlers should be surprised or shocked from now on when shit like this comes up. And, oh, everything's going along fine, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, we're going to cut your balls off. You know who's not going to cut your balls off, Brian? Our friends at Manscaped. That's who. They're not going to cut your balls off, folks, because I'll tell you, Valentine's Day is coming up. And when you think about Valentine's Day, of course, the most important thing on that fateful day is clean balls. And did you remember, folks, to order the package that will take care of your package with the best tools for the job? I'm talking about the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped, the thing that every guy needs in their life, and some girls. I've seen a few hairy and hirsute young ladies in my time. They might have benefited from this as well, but nevertheless, the name of the company is Manscaped, so we're going to go with that. The number one product in this entire package is the Lawnmower 4.0, which is especially designed to trim hair on loose skin. So now we know how the corpse referee Rick Knox gets so slick. He's got no eyebrows, he's got no eyelashes, he's got no body hair, no facial hair, no taint hair, but his skin is so wrinkly and it drips off of his bones like a popped balloon. He uses Manscaped. You just can't nick yourself. Folks, in addition to the Lawnmower 4.0's advanced skin-safe technology, reducing the cuts and nicks on your delicate balls, or if you want to shave an actual dead body like Rick Knox, it will not take the rotting skin off nearly like a regular shaver. And it's even got the 4000K LED spotlight so you can shave anywhere in light or darkness. And it's waterproof. So the folks at Manscaped are proposing making February 13th National Shave Your Balls Day. I believe they say it's one holiday that men and women can both get behind. That sounds like a Terry Garvin School of Self-Defense joke. But if you do it on the 13th, then you might get a chance to do it on the 14th, guys. Shave them on the 13th and immerse them on the 14th. They'll go in nice and slick that way. The package also includes the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer, and they even throw in 2 free gifts, the Shed travel bag and the anti-chafing or Chris Chavis, I don't know, Tatanka, the anti-Tatanka boxer briefs to keep the boys stored comfortably. And they also got the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. It's all part of the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. And if you go to Manscaped and make your Valentine's Day date or arrangement say, wow, great set of balls you've got there, you can do it even cheaper now because you can go to manscaped.com/JCE and get 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com/JCE, 20% off and free shipping. And as they say, join Cupid and shoot your arrow along with several loads on Manscaped this Valentine's Day. Or I should have said it like this: join Cupid and shoot your arrow and a few loads with Manscaped, not on them. You don't want to do that on them. You want to do it with them on someone else. Oh, fuck it. Just call Cupid or an escort service. I don't care what you do. Just shave your balls.
Manscaped. That's what we want to say. Manscaped.com.
JCE.